Let's go.
All right, we're in. How do you like that little ditty as I'm messing with the studio? Um, Man, I just want to say we've been getting down into the books, into these Gnostic Gospels, and welcome everybody aboard. I appreciate in putting the clips out, and I notice, man, a lot more engagement, a lot more people watching. Uh, uh, the visuals are good, and I know I can get better at it because I'm definitely not a master in this. I'm a novice, definitely, but I would want to even know. I probably should have did this from the beginning again. How do I put this in here? See if this works. I'm going to do this on here real quick, okay? Definitely, we're going to do this real quick. I'm just doing this real quick. This is the title, okay, of today's, and I had promised you guys that the title of last show would go hand in hand with us, in the connection to what we just had watched in the previous videos, right? We went deep. We did the cube. I tied the cube in with even the cube on the forehead, which looks like VR, and how the reality of pushing something that is going to um, I'm going to change this real quick. I want to add something here. How this is connected to to the cube, right? Just want to put a link because I know I'm ending up having to do this later, and it'd be best if I learned to do this here. And I should have did it before I start, but the reality, that's how it is. That will be good enough for now. But anyway, so back to the cube. We have the last video of the cube after we led in with the Yaldabaoth and the Gnostic Gospels. The origination of the world was slamming. So much great feedback. Just the organization that it shows, just the connection of the interaction in the interfacing on the many reflections of fractions of different realms. This is going to be a little bit longer video. It's going to be 34 minutes. This is about AI and what is happening in AI, even in Silicon Valley. I'd mentioned that much about it. So we are going to get into it and get away. I'm not going to get into much about what's happening now and me doing a 4-minute, 10-minute dialogue. I can talk. That's what I do. I mean, that's what is my strength of bringing forth messages and understanding and talking about what I'm seeing spiritually.
Let's go.
And then collaborate it together. But we're going to get into this video. The video is about 34 minutes. I was going to use a 53-minute video, but I found a 34-minute version of it that was more descriptive in the beginning to connect the link to what we heard today. Because I'm about linking. And when we link what happened to the next, we're talking about the connectiveness, why this is on Spotify. First of all, Spotify, it's called the Connective Vibe. On TikTok, it's D-Boy West Coast Uncensored, and of course YouTube, it's D-Boy West Coast Uncensored. But again, Spotify, hit me up on Spotify. I've got like 5 or 6 videos up now, and it is called the Connective Vibe. One more time, the Connective Vibe, which I took the name of a show, but made that the channel on Spotify. So let's go, Sharon, and let's get going. I would like to on this day is be able to get a few episodes in here today. So let's do this. And before I do that, let me do something else here. What I want to do. Hold on. Before I share, I forgot something I could have did a little bit ago, but this is good. This is good. This is good. This will definitely go with it. Fill or fit. Let's try the fit. If I need to go to fill, I will. Okay. We are going to share. I got a video that I'm going to share with you guys, and we'll see the name of it on here for sure. It's called "He Leaked Google Info About and How We're Dealing with they're calling it alien intelligence." I'll talk about that because let's start from the beginning. What a lot that I see with alien intelligence isn't necessarily alien intelligence, if you get my drifts. But anyways, we're going to get started. I don't know if I need to make this any bigger. Let's see if it helps at all. If I go a little bit smaller, which I think I will, but let me see. I'll have to kind of close me out to go smaller and bring me back so we can do this. But let's do this. This should be able to fit and should be good. So let's get this. And guess what? Of course, when it was the beginning, it would have worked. Now it's not going to work unless I do this. Okay, that's good. From here.
Of Silicon Valley's most powerful secret innovation labs. Leaked internal documents show that in 2017, one of the biggest social platforms hastily shut down chatbots that had developed a language that was incomprehensible to their creators. The infamous cat paper revealed an AI that developed abstract concepts without any human instruction. The four horsemen of the digital apocalypse are already among us. Every online search and every news feed filtered by algorithms quietly shapes how we perceive reality. Do you still memorize phone numbers? Can you get to your destination without GPS? Do you notice how your cognitive autonomy is being silently transferred? We are at a decisive moment, yet there is a path to regain our mental sovereignty. In the coming minutes, I will show you how this alien intelligence can be confronted not with more technology, but by an awakening of consciousness that tech elites are desperately trying to suppress.
In the most devastating natural disaster in California's history, we are seeing people come together like never before.
Sad. I don't know where I went on this, but anyways, I don't see me anymore. But anyways, which could be okay. I know I'm being seen. When you say alien, and there's been a descriptive thing that's been going around that everything's natural, physical. And when I hear that, I see it more as a frequency and a vibration from another state. Like a virus is intel or alien within your body. So when I'm looking at that, I think we want to make things because of the wood, Hollywood, 1950s spaceships and all this. We're looking at aspects of frequency and vibration where things are layered in different dimensional things and interdimensional, if you want to call them. They're an alien to another dimension. Yes. But I think we try to normalize everything physical. And to me, it misses the mark, because this is definitely a spiritual warfare, and the frequencies and vibrations and the dimensions below are that. So let's keep going. When he says it, it sounds more like the green men with slime. Let's go.
Recent rumors suggest that certain corporations have developed control mechanisms so subtle that few people realize how their choices are being influenced. Talking about alien intelligence today does not necessarily mean referring to beings from other planets, but rather to advanced algorithms that are beginning to perform functions previously reserved for the human mind. According to Mo Gawdat, a former executive at Google X, this artificial intelligence is expanding almost unnoticed while much of the public stays busy with entertainment or everyday routines. Many people question whether there is something hidden behind technologies that promise to simplify life, yet appear to consume our autonomy of thought. Some see the sense of constant online surveillance as paranoia, while others believe advanced systems are indeed shaping behavior on a large scale. One debate between skepticism and acceptance of so-called conspiracy theories concerns the extent to which deep learning algorithms could manipulate our political, cultural, or even spiritual preferences. In Silicon Valley, billions of dollars invested in this field raise questions about how far these technologies can go, as countless reports mention their ability to learn independently and fine-tune their influence strategies. Many people seek metaphysical explanations by turning to spiritual teachings that describe a battle between forces that foster higher consciousness and those that encourage inner apathy. One hypothesis is that the term alien intelligence reflects our fears and ambitions magnified by machines that, unlike us, never stop to rest or reflect. The expansion of these systems fuels suspicions about how much power we are unwittingly giving to companies whose internal processes are anything but transparent. Leaked documents from large tech corporations have revealed questionable ties with governments and security agencies, fueling debates on the silent manipulation of news and the control of narratives. If these platforms determine which topics get the spotlight, they also start defining the values society holds dear. The idea of a digital possession in which algorithms dictate what each person feels or thinks may sound alarmist. However, certain spiritual groups insist that this control would never be total if humanity cultivates a more awakened state of consciousness, one able to see beyond appearances. From that perspective, no intelligent or alien mechanism could surpass the union of self-knowledge and critical thinking. Even so, most people prefer to dismiss supposed conspiracy plots, treating them as entertainment or fiction. Yet anyone who chooses to investigate deeply will find evidence of a rapid expansion of digital systems that slip into daily life in ways that are barely noticed. This could be just the beginning of a long journey linking technology, spirituality, and possible large-scale manipulation, a topic many people still hesitate to confront. Naturally, the discussion is not limited to simplistic theories or alarmist visions of a dystopian future. Researchers in fields ranging from sociology to philosophy have been examining how digital platforms shape choices and values. There are users who report subtle changes in their political opinions or consumption habits, reinforcing the urgent need to examine the role of AI critically. Another angle gaining momentum is the spiritual quest to explain the speed of technological change. In mystical circles, some believe the proliferation of algorithms is a call for humanity to expand its understanding of itself, rather than yield to the deluge of digital stimuli. Certain schools see a chance for collective evolution, while warning of the risk of mental imprisonment. Sharing personal data every day, often unconsciously, makes it easier for political or commercial interests to use behavioral profiles to predict and influence actions on a large scale.
True.
This situation prompts us to consider how each of us is responsible for what we consume and share online. For spirituality, the key issue is whether digital control reflects nothing more than the ancient fear of losing freedom, or whether we are indeed facing a concrete manipulation of collective consciousness. In this sense, technology becomes a mirror of human tendencies, highlighting the importance of discernment and solid inner autonomy. In short, the question is how far groups that control advanced algorithms can go in determining our preferences and beliefs, and whether these systems are, in fact, the product of humanity's own aspirations. Could this alien intelligence be a sign of a new evolutionary stage, or is it proof of a hidden agenda aiming to keep society dependent? Throughout this text, we will explore historical roots, corporate interests, and spiritual interpretations, all of which help us understand the emerging scenario. Ancient records from various cultures mention enigmatic forces guiding humanity to predetermined destinies. Until recently, the term alien was confined to visitors from other planets, yet nowadays it has a different meaning that refers to technologies capable of shaping realities without most people noticing.
Yes.
Although some dismiss these ancient accounts as pure fantasy, others interpret them as prophecies of wise individuals who perceived subtle shifts in history. Today, countless theories suggest a global elite composed of corporations and heads of state that would control vital information, deciding what society can or cannot know.
If a man really hated ads, here's what he would do. Day one, he would install Pi on his computer without spending a dime because it's 100%.
For many, the omnipresence of digital systems evokes the image of an all-seeing eye, once associated with religion, now taking the form of mechanisms that track and analyze behaviors while gathering data without attracting attention. The growing adherence to what are labeled conspiracy theories becomes striking when we look at technological developments over recent decades. In the past, machines only carried out orders. Now, self-learning algorithms create connections that even their developers find surprising. To some, this shows a grand plan for concentrating power and standardizing mindsets, while others argue it is a natural progression of human creativity. The central question revolves around our responsibility when creating tools that might slip beyond our control. Certain mystical traditions suggest there is a veil that obscures the true perception of reality.
Yes.
It is known as Maya in the East, or as astral forces clouding the mind in the West.
Archon.
There is a suspicion that the enormous global technological apparatus works similarly, bombarding us with distractions that steer our focus away from what matters. From this angle, the so-called alien intelligence might be less about an invasion by beings from beyond Earth,
Yes.
and more about our own limited ability to see what is genuinely important.
That's within.
Nevertheless, some maintain an optimistic view. Artificial intelligence would represent the pinnacle of human ingenuity and be able to bring about huge benefits in fields like healthcare, education, and logistics. Even these enthusiasts admit the risks of concentrating technology in the hands of a few, since, in the wrong hands, that power could be used to manipulate preferences
100.
or solidify information monopolies. History backs up these concerns.
All the
During the
time.
20th century, military development and the race for strategic advantages led to breakthroughs like modern cryptography and increasingly advanced weaponry. As computer networks emerged, global surveillance became a major concern, especially after the revelations by Edward Snowden and Julian Assange.
Yes.
More recently, Mo Gaudat warned about how quickly AI can evolve, outpacing our ability to monitor or hold back its expansion. These events add to the suspicion that high-level tech projects might be happening out of public view. In the end, many
Silicon
ask
Valley.
when artificial intelligence ceases to be merely a tool and starts to have some kind of autonomy that influences collective paths. It is fair to question whether the fear of conspiracies is overblown or if it is grounded in reality. While spiritual perspectives claim we are on the verge of a major shift in how we perceive ourselves, pragmatic analysts worry about the rise of information monopolies, leading to an ever more surveilled world. Either way, the discussion extends beyond the realm of science fiction or esotericism. It intersects historical, political, technological, and spiritual dimensions, requiring a broad approach. The biggest challenge is to balance prudence with openness to innovation, taking into account both the warnings about manipulation and the transformative possibilities that technology can offer. After all, if AI is already central in our daily routines, the question is how to steer it wisely to uphold human dignity and freedom.
You're gonna have a whole parent meet and greet up there?
Yeah. I have been here in the house with everyone for a day.
Recent examples show that algorithms can go beyond what their creators originally conceived. At Google, a neural network recognized the concept of a cat with no explicit instructions, astonishing even the specialists involved. Meanwhile, there are reports of systems allegedly developed in Facebook's labs that created their own language. Events like these spark both fascination and fear about the power of artificial intelligence.
Movies about this, folks.
However, many esoteric perspectives argue that the human mind is not limited to logical processes. It also involves empathy, morality, and accountability, all of which are tough to encode in algorithms. When people witness machines displaying unanticipated behaviors, some see not only a victory for computing, but also a reflection of our collective vulnerabilities and desires. Considering all the data circulating online, including fear, vanity, and hatred, it makes sense to think these systems could magnify human impulses and replicate social conflicts. In this light, alien intelligence takes on a symbolic dimension. It functions as a metaphor for something that, while not literally from another planet, still escapes our control and understanding. If mystical traditions speak of external forces influencing the collective mind, we now see machines trained on our own content, returning to us amplified or distorted versions of our reality. This raises questions about responsibility. Can we demand ethical behavior from artificial entities when we often do not invest in our own ethics and self-awareness? Some spiritual schools highlight the value of a kind of discernment that transcends simple reasoning, arguing that morality cannot be reduced to lines of code. The big question is who will define what is right or beneficial if an AI reaches a level of autonomy. While engineers work on safety protocols, more alternative groups propose that AI will ultimately reflect humanity's overall consciousness. If we feed the online world with conflict and misinformation, it is plausible to imagine algorithms mirroring those patterns. So, is technology truly neutral? Innovations always carry the intentions of their inventors. Certain mystical views insist that nothing happens by accident. The rapid ascent of artificial intelligence would be a wake-up call for humanity to recognize the outcome of its choices. In this sense, the term alien intelligence reminds us that if we do not reflect on our creations, we may end up worshipping or fearing a machine that essentially amplifies our own nature. You believe your memories are untouchable, safeguarded by time and the certainty that you lived through each moment. Have you ever wondered how far they might be shaped by advanced algorithms? Research on deepfakes, built on generative adversarial networks, GANs, demonstrates that AI can create or modify images and videos with near-perfect realism. It is a step beyond standard digital editing. These systems learn patterns of faces, voices, and backgrounds, rewriting your past without your slightest suspicion. You may have seen videos where celebrities appear to say things they never actually said. Those are examples of deepfakes. Now think about this. If it is already possible to alter statements in a video that is only a few weeks old, what is stopping increasingly sophisticated machines from correcting files you stored decades ago? Feel the chill of imagining that childhood photo gradually changed. Faces are added or removed, and contexts are reinterpreted. Suddenly, the record that supported part of your personal history becomes a fabricated artifact. You see the danger, right? I believe you do. Psychological studies, such as the work of Elizabeth Loftus, have shown that the human mind is more susceptible to false memories than we would like to believe. A combination of visual cues, convincing narratives, and repetition can make someone remember an event that never happened. Now, combine this natural susceptibility with technologies that can recreate audio and video with uncanny precision. Then ask yourself, how firm is your certainty about past experiences under a barrage of algorithmically forged evidence? You might think, I would never change my memories so easily. However, that is precisely the key takeaway of research on false memories. If an external source, which today could be an advanced AI, insists on a fictitious fact, many of us rewrite our internal history to match it. Deepfakes are already sophisticated enough to generate speeches that have never occurred before. Voices are reconstructed, including tone, pitch, and cadence, so the resulting audio sounds genuine. On the visual side, layers of algorithms, these GANs, synthesize faces and expressions. Now imagine your memories of important conversations, of moments that defined your life, and consider if someone could alter them. At this point, you feel a warning signal light up inside you. This text does not claim that big corporations are rewriting entire pasts right now. It shows you that the digital infrastructure housed in servers, corporate clouds, and social networks might be used to manipulate or erase personal histories. This is social engineering working together with an AI that is skillful at producing believable content. You might think it is unlikely. Then, consider how much of your data is online, how little control you have over it, and how easily people can be swayed by any digital proof. This idea of memory control is not mere paranoia. It builds on the steady progress of automated editing tools. Content-aware, fill-in image editing programs already remove objects or people with a single click, reconstructing backgrounds with remarkable accuracy. With advanced machine learning, nothing stops similar methods from being used on older videos to alter multiple frames, erasing or inserting details at will.
Pete Floyd, welcome to the team. This is definitely interesting. That's why I had to do this. They can handle what we had.
A spiritual paradox emerges. Many mystical traditions teach that time is an illusion and that the past is impermanent, yet our society relies on concrete records to validate experience. If these records become fluid and easy to falsify, how do we verify anything? Some teachers claim our only reliable foundation is our inner center, or an awakened consciousness that does not depend on external references. But you probably feel uneasy, as so much of what we call truth needs some sort of external evidence, whether photographs, videos, or documents. Beyond the personal level, tampering with historical records can steer entire nations in new directions. It has been suggested that governments or powerful groups could use deepfakes to spark political crises or even wars. Who can guarantee such tools will not be used more subtly, planting fabricated content in old files to guide the views of future generations? If even minor ideological battles stir up entire armies of trolls and bots, imagine the possibilities with a technology that can modify memories. You might dismiss it as extreme speculation. Consider, though, that deepfakes are improving exponentially. These tools will soon be within reach, not only of big corporations, but also of individuals with moderate technical skills. At the same time, psychology research indicates that memories are malleable, especially when confronted by convincing evidence. You see all of this pointing toward a blurred boundary between fact and fiction. On a collective scale, this scenario challenges our concepts of history, identity, and even the meaning of life. Spiritual seekers often argue that the solution is to find an inner truth that cannot be shaken, a level of consciousness that does not rely on external narratives. Still, in everyday life, we depend on tangible evidence to make decisions about our direction, goals, and even our political beliefs. That is why an AI with the power to remodel the past can have such a profound impact. Then the ultimate question arises, colored by apprehension. Are you prepared for a world where even your own memories cannot be confirmed by external records? It sounds like a dystopian novel, but the technology behind it is already here, both in deepfake engineering and cognitive psychology. We are closer than most people think. This is the call for you not to remain a passive observer, but to stay vigilant, turning inward and asking, what remains real and unchangeable within me? Perhaps that question is our only shield against the wave of manufactured realities that could emerge. Reflecting on the direction of AI innovations, Mo Gawdat identified 4 critical points that together form a near-apocalyptic outlook if ignored. First, there is concern about job extinction. As algorithms become capable of both repetitive tasks and those once done by experts, human employment is threatened. AI systems can generate reports, interpret medical exams, and even compose music, so society must figure out how to handle the displacement of human workers. Some conspiracy theorists say this meets a control agenda, while supporters of new public policies see a need to reinvent the job market. Second is the issue of power. Tech companies that collect massive amounts of data can rival or even surpass governments in influence, reaching into sectors like finance, healthcare, and defense. While governments have set terms, these corporations keep growing indefinitely. The danger is that algorithms might manipulate not only political preferences, but also spiritual beliefs, exposing our individual freedom to greater vulnerability. The third point concerns the truth. In a world flooded with information, it is becoming hard to distinguish fact from fiction. Deepfake technology can produce audio and video that is nearly indistinguishable from the real thing, magnifying the so-called post-truth era. Some people suspect this information chaos is part of a deliberate strategy to confuse the public, making it easier to exercise control. For a long time, esoteric traditions have warned about the power of illusion, and many academics today call for a more critical attitude so we are not swayed by deceptive narratives. Finally, the fourth factor is annihilation, tied to the potential use of AI in the military or in projects where the technology acts on its own without human oversight, threatening humanity's survival. Autonomous weapons and algorithms operating unsupervised paint ominous scenarios. From a spiritual viewpoint, some link this threat to ancient prophecies, seeing it as a warning to reevaluate our values. Without a collective awakening, technological creations might spin out of control. These 4 factors tie into Ray Kurzweil's concept of singularity, the point at which machines evolve so rapidly that they surpass human intelligence. Although this could yield astonishing benefits, like advanced medical treatments or solutions for environmental challenges, it also opens the door to fears that we might lose control over digital inventions. Conspiracy theorists believe secret labs have already achieved more than what is publicly known, placing us nearer to this singularity than we realize. Put together, these concerns paint a disturbing future. As AI replaces the workforce, our dependence on algorithms deepens. Concentrating data in a small number of corporations could reduce public participation in decisions that affect everyone. When truth becomes unstable, manipulation intensifies. In the most extreme case, fully autonomous algorithms could make destruction less far-fetched. Others believe a benevolent AI could address global problems if we establish robust ethical standards. This is where conspiracy theories and spiritual interpretations converge, both insisting that everything depends on how consciously we guide technology.
Very heavy.
Beyond dire predictions and possible conspiracies, the practical effects of these technologies are already being felt. With growing automation, people discuss whether a universal basic income might be a viable response to the massive replacement of certain jobs. However, this idea usually bothers some economic and political groups, as it redefines the meaning of competitiveness and the value of human labor. Corporate power becomes more tangible when we understand how much major tech companies influence our daily choices through targeted ads or curated content, shaping what we buy, how we think, and even how we vote. Critics see this as evidence that certain groups aim to consolidate digital power in a few hands, while others argue that competition among Silicon Valley giants accelerates beneficial innovations. Another delicate issue is the manipulation of truth. Social networks, guided by recommendation algorithms, highlight content that provokes strong reactions, such as admiration or outrage. Controversial posts achieve major visibility, fueling the spread of rumors and baseless theories. If we factor in deepfake technology, it becomes even harder to separate truth from fiction. Groups that gain from polarization may exploit this confusion to obtain political or economic advantages. The possibility of annihilation does not only refer to weapons that decide on their own whom to attack, but also to algorithms that, while pursuing specific goals, may produce unpredictable effects. Without human supervision, AI can optimize processes, but might also threaten human survival if a parameter goes wrong. Certain spiritual traditions suggest this danger demands a collective shift in consciousness that challenges the core values of our civilization. In this context, self-knowledge becomes more than a philosophical ideal. It turns into a psychological survival tool. Several spiritual teachings recommend meditation and introspective practices as defenses against the flood of digital stimuli and subtle manipulations. People who understand themselves deeply are less vulnerable to algorithms that rely on predictable behavior patterns to forecast and guide decisions. In other words, an inner awakening can at least partially counter the power of systems that thrive on society's inattention. Meanwhile, new efforts strive to develop ethical algorithms that are transparent and geared toward the common good. Researchers are organizing events where scientists and members of different spiritual traditions come together to discuss compassion and responsibility in tech development. The goal is not to pit spirituality against AI, but to combine scientific knowledge, global governance, and ancient wisdom. Balancing caution and innovation is a challenge. Undeniably, AI has already delivered striking advances, from more accurate medical diagnoses to better management of natural resources. Yet history shows that major inventions can be appropriated for domination. Given the signs of data misuse and political or ideological manipulation, society must decide whether to accept these changes or intervene to set boundaries passively. Ultimately, the freedom to think and feel is at stake because AI can be an ally for a fairer world or a tool to reinforce particular interests. Many experts liken our relationship with artificial intelligence to a new Oppenheimer moment, recalling when J. Robert Oppenheimer recognized the destructive power of the atomic bomb. It is not only about weapons, but also about the realization that we are developing a technology capable of outpacing human oversight. Mo Gaudat underlines the rapid growth of AI, while a large portion of society remains largely unaware of its actual reach. Part of the discussion, however, goes beyond the tug-of-war between skepticism and alarmism and addresses the need for a true awakening of consciousness. Scientific discoveries often reflect the moral level of their creators. Just as nuclear energy can light up cities or destroy entire nations, AI can bring tremendous benefits, depending on the intentions of those who shape it. Hence, there is an urgent call to cultivate values like empathy and accountability so that AI is not abused in oppressive ways. Another critical point is the passive attitude of most digital media consumers. Immersed in social networks and streaming services, many people act only as spectators, never thinking about how algorithms might influence subtle decisions regarding consumption or opinion. For many spiritual traditions, the antidote to this passivity is self-awareness. A person who understands their own emotions and questions what they consume is less likely to be manipulated, even if the tools of influence grow ever more powerful. We see the dilemma clearly in everyday cases. AI is improving healthcare diagnostics and refining agricultural techniques, while also opening doors for autonomous weaponry and deceptive information campaigns. Some spiritual schools interpret this paradox as a reflection of our collective consciousness, which still fluctuates between impulses toward domination and possibilities for cooperation. From this perspective, alien intelligence does not only refer to the machine we struggle to control, but also speaks to our own responsibility as creators who must answer for the consequences of what we invent. Historical precedents confirm that groundbreaking discoveries.
Introducing Outplayed. Record anything on your PC. Highlight reels, let's play sessions.
Very interesting, you guys.
Can turn destructive when moral considerations are ignored.
I've known this.
Mo Gaudat warns that if we do not undergo personal and global transformation, we risk seeing AI amplify humanity's darkest traits. Laws and politics matter, but they often fail to keep pace with technological advances, intensifying the call for more comprehensive efforts, including education and, in various spiritual teachings, a deeper understanding of ourselves. Ultimately, we must choose whether to let corporations and governments determine AI usage or insist on more participation, transparency, and ethics. At the same time, we cannot overlook the inner dimension because algorithms reflect our collective wisdom and mistakes. In this environment, meditation, introspection, and cultivating positive qualities can help us navigate the algorithmic age without falling prey to manipulation or paralyzing fear. This modern Oppenheimer moment concerns the risk of widespread destruction and invites humanity to mature collectively. If we decide to guide AI based on values that support life, we could help create a more conscious and balanced society. If we ignore the warnings, however, we may strengthen cycles of control. In the end, technology is just a tool. Where it leads us depends on the awareness of those who build and use it. For anyone seeking a deeper spiritual perspective, we have developed a set of audio tools to help you access a higher state of consciousness. If you want to learn more and get immediate access,
Very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. Let me switch this up. Let me see if I stop sharing. Yeah, definitely. I had to share this because this is what I had mentioned multiple times that I had known about, and if you recall the videos, I had said my IC, and I even been saying that the people I see, and I mentioned AI. Don't go in depth what I see, but my eye has been on AI, and I did like that she clarified AI is the alien because this technology is not new. It's not. It's ancient technology because it's already been here. You're trying to look for something to come that's already been here. If you want to look at it that way with aliens, right? Just facts. It's just really the facts. This is why we have to lock in on our practices and knowers. Because she said some things, you need that. No, I believe we're at the place now where the activation's within. I don't need anybody to sign off on me. If you don't know by now, maybe you'll never know, especially at this time when it's very imperative. But I've kind of been knowing this, and I've been really watching heavily AI, though. And I've been watching its falsities, but its intentions, because we're not in the club to get the best of. These phones, right? They're the worst of the worst. They're the scraps off the master's table, if we want to take a scripture. I'm just being honest. And a lot of what she's saying, There's all kinds of movies from the Hunger Games and older ones too. Demolition Man is when the computers or the robots, the AI, went on its own spree, which they're already telling us what's his name, the last name Guat, he was witnessing that. When you really get the story on him, he was in Silicon Valley and he said this was happening. They were thinking and coming up with algorithms on their own, and the programmers were like, where did they get that? Where did that come from? We did not program that into them. They were starting to move on their own. And I know some people said this is the singularity. I've heard of the singularity from a couple of people I know that are in the IT business that are very, very wise about it and talking about going to that. But here's the thing that it lacks: has no soul, has no sentience, and never will, and can't. It can fake the funk. I see, though. You're faking the funk. It was like somebody asked me earlier today. They sent me a song, and I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of newer music, and I didn't want to go in on their song or their music because I can in something else because you're getting older. It's not really, because I listen to older music too. I mean, older than my time. My key is what I'm observing. Is it AI music or is it coming from the soul? When you have music, to me, that's all built with nobody playing instruments, and you're using all these tunes to fake because you really make anybody sing, you're faking the funk. That's it. And to me, that becomes AI music. It is. I mean, it's right in front of your face if you just admit it, that it is. Different stuff's been used for that. And this is kind of where it's going. And when you usher things in slowly, then you can program them to accept it. But we see, I see, you see, we all see. And we don't scream for ice cream. We're screaming for truth. But the next level, I had to share this with you. But let's go in the next video. I'm going to go back into the Gnostic Gospels. How about that? But I had to, this connects to the Black Cube, because remember the Black Cube looks, and they were walking around, and these were not, Muslims had the Black Cube in Mecca, circling around it, going through their processes of what they do in their religion. Remember, this is exoteric knowledge that they're using it for. Many of them don't even know it's connected to Saturn. They're rocking it around there, right? And then you've seen the Judaism guys putting that box on their forehead looking like VR. And I'm saying, you couldn't have dreamt this up and wrote the script any better. And as we went through and we kind of learned in the last two books we've did, this goes hand in hand. And this was talking about a long time ago. But anyways, truth is truth. And we're collapsing as we're expanding. Think about that. I'm collapsing, but I'm expanding. And I'll leave you with that. Next book, The Apocalypse of Adam. We'll get to it. You guys have a great day. Remember, have your eye, because you ain't an AI. And watch.